Bim! Guess what? We're live, and it's Friday. And that can mean only one thing. What a week that was. Is back, where we look lively at what a week it was in the news. This is world news, USA news, because let's be honest, the Americans have some bizarre stuff going on, and the way they report stuff as well is a bit odd. So we'll have a look at that. But first, we'll have a look at some British news. It's been a week of odd sights in the UK. For example, Boris Johnson, our soon-to-be ex-Prime Minister, doing his best Tom Cruise impression, which, to be fair, isn't actually that bad. He was... I think he's just watching box sets of movies now. He's no longer doing prime ministerial stuff as much as he was. He decided that he'd do a bit of Tom Cruise, be a bit maverick, although everyone called him Bojo, and he would basically fly in a fighter jet. And that's exactly what he did. He even had a camera and filmed himself, which was an interesting concept. Holding a camera in front of yourself and filming yourself in somewhere unusual. Can't imagine anyone doing that who's got half a brain. But yeah, he filmed himself as a co-pilot in the back seat of one of the F-90s, whatever the hell they are, the Eurojet thing, while it was being refueled above, I would assume, somewhere in England. But that wasn't his only movie reference. He also spent some time in the House of Commons, Parliament, and he basically said the advice he would give to whoever takes over as him, and all the stuff he'd done, and how well he'd done, and it was like a job near enough complete but not quite. Haven't I done well? Aren't I great? And then he come up with the line, which this is a meme of, hasta la vista, baby. And I'm like, what the heck is that about? It's obviously he might have Paramount or something. I don't know who it is who does that one, but it just seemed very peculiar to use such a reference. But the more bizarre thing was Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's not his famous line, hasta la viva, baby. His famous line is, I'll be back. Is that Bojo telling us all that he ain't done? He's coming back for more? Because if he is, I can wait. I can wait. I mean, it. Oh. But who is going to replace him? Well, when we got to Monday, there were 4 candidates left. There was them 4. Vote-wise, Rishi Sunak got the most. PM, she got 92, and Liz Truss got 86, and 59 went for the lady who got kicked out. So she's no longer part of the people who are going forward to be the leader of the Conservative Party and the leader of the country. So, this time last week we had 6. By Tuesday, we had 3. Now, I was praying that Liz Truss would get kicked out. But these are our final 2. Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak. Hello, Angela. Hope you're good. Now, if this had been 6 months ago, I'd be like, yeah, Rishi Sunak. Yeah, that's who we need. But now I'm not so sure, because I think he's a bit of a KJ. AOL. I'm like, ah. But then he's up against Liz Truss, and I'm like, oh my God, Dizzy Lizzy. I mean, you got Rishi Rich and Dizzy Lizzy. Again, it's like the last general election. We've got 2 crap people. Now, Liz Truss doesn't know how to get out of a room. She walks like, well, a broken Terminator. We're making the reference to what I was on about before with Boris Johnson, Hasta la Vista and all that. She's got the personality of Keir Starmer. Are you Smiley Mac? Hope you're good. And she's got the policies of, well, Keir Starmer. No. I just hope that she doesn't get in. But I don't want Rishi to get in either. But it's not up to us. It's only up to the people who are Conservative members. And they are, well, there's about 160,000 of them. And they're basically voting for the leader of the free world. I'm lying, obviously, because the leader of the free world, allegedly, is Coffin Biden. No, he's not dead. I don't mean coffin. I mean coughing. Apparently, it turns out this week, he's caught COVID. He's 79 years old. He's fully vaccinated, though. He's got mild symptoms. And it may have explained some of his gaffes recently as well, because obviously the COVID does mess with your head a little bit. I mean, I think Boris, he caught COVID early on. I think he's had long COVID. So I'm pretty sure that Biden will be okay, but I'm not sure that okay is okay, if you get me. I'm listening on my TV, so it might be really slow. Oh, it's alright. We're not 4K on this one, but you know, who wants to see me in 4K? Big shout out to the podcast viewers as well, listeners even. People from India and San Francisco and Los Angeles have been listening to my first ever podcast, which was basically edited highlights of last week's one. But this week, I'm not editing it. I'm just going to do a little bit of chop and waz it up as quick as possible. Talking of doing things as quick as possible, over 20 years after they got engaged for the first time, Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck have got married in Las Vegas in the White Chapel, or whatever it's called. I couldn't care less, but apparently that's news. Yeah. In the UK, we've had a heat wave, which we're not used to in the UK. Our systems are not designed for it. All our buildings and everything are designed to keep heat in, because it's usually cold that we're trying to get away from. The problem we've got is that it's been, well, it reached 40 degrees in a part of England, 40.3 degrees centigrade, not Fahrenheit, well over 100 Fahrenheit, 37.1 in Wales and 35.1 in Scotland, all degrees centigrade, which is the hottest it's ever been for any of the, where are we? There we are. Keep going. I've got a delay here. So that's England. That's roughly where it was the hottest. Wales was down the bottom. And then Scotland was, doing this on time delay is really difficult, was around about there, which is only just in Scotland. It was like the borders of Scotland. But it was the hottest it's ever been. Now, when you stood outside Buckingham Palace, which this guard was, you're not allowed to move and do anything. So he had to be fed water by one of the security guards, which is nice. That's nice. I must admit, I didn't go out. I stayed in. And I did feel a bit peculiar at one point. I thought I was going to pass out. And I was just in my house. And the cat, whoa, she really didn't like it. But then you've got people who do this. Basically go into water, which is, well, this one looks a bit like a harbour. But we've had people swimming in flooded quarries, canals, rivers, lakes, locks, which are part canals, obviously. And we've lost at least 5 people have drowned because although it's boiling hot, the water isn't boiling hot. The water is cold, and when you jump into it, you'll go into shock, and that's why people are going wrong. Yeah, I know. With rumours, another heatwave is on its way. Although there's a minor one coming at the weekend, but not up here. It's only going to be down south. Now, I do love it when it's about 25 to 30. I love that. I love it. It's really, really hot. But when it gets to 40, my car said 40, and I'm like, nah, it's not 40, because the car always, does a little bit higher than what it really is. But we're just not designed for it. And like I said to you before, the country is designed to keep heat in and not keep heat out. So there are lots of buildings that were overheating. For example, apartment blocks that have been built even recently. And then you've got older buildings, such as hospitals and things like that, which were built in the Victorian times, that don't have air conditioning. And the temperatures were just ridiculous in them places. So yeah, it wasn't brilliant, but it was, good, if you know what I mean. However, something that I was on about weird things we've seen in the UK this week includes fires. Now, there's plenty of fires in Europe, which is not unusual. We often get moorland fires in the UK, moorland being peat and stuff like that that burn. But we've actually had fires down on ground in London because it's that hot. Now, sometimes it's caused by people deliberately setting fires, which is insane. Other times it's caused by like a glass bottle that's been discarded and doing that thing with the bottom of the glass where it just heats up a tiny spot of grass that ignites, woof, you're away. Or people being stupid and having barbecues or discarding a cigarette. Either way, we've had some horrendous fires around the London area. I'm trying to look for it, but there was a camera shot from a helicopter that were flying over, and it was near the Thames, and there was two separate massive fires on one side of the Thames, and then you could see 3 plumes of smoke on the other side of the Thames. Now, what is unusual about these, again, not necessarily in America or Australia or Europe, is the fact that domestic properties got caught up in this. So we actually had houses catching fire, which I've never heard of before in the UK because of the heat. Thankfully, no lives were lost, but a lot of lives have been changed forever. Tragically, people have lost everything they own. You can't comprehend it. But these are scenes that we normally see in America or in Australia. I mean, if you watch Grand Designs Australia, there was one a while ago, and they built a house in a forest, but they built it so it was fireproof. It was basically built out of metal because they knew it would burn if it was wood. We don't do stuff like that. We're not used to this kind of thing going on. So we've all got to rethink everything. And as for, everyone's saying, it's climate change and all that. Well, you've got to think it is, because it's not just in the UK where things are going wrong. It's all over the world. I mean, in the UK, we had a runway, which was Luton Airport, actually melt and have to be closed because the tarmac had melted and it wasn't safe for planes to land or take off. So it was shut for a few hours while they sorted that out. And then there were reports around the country of roads melting. Now, this I've seen before. When I was a kid, every summer, I lived in a terraced house. I was brought up in a terraced house. A bit like Coronation Street, if you're not familiar what a terraced house is. Where Ken Barlow and where the pub is, that kind of housing. I was brought up on that. And at the end of the street, there's another street going through, and then there's another block of houses. Now that street, the one going through, that always used to have tar coming through and bubbling in the summertime. And genuinely, we'd play with the tar when I were kids. It'd come up in a bubble, and we'd pop the bubble, and then we'd get this tar on bits of wood or whatever, and then we'd run around chasing each other. My parents must have hated it, because we'd get it on our clothes, it would never come out. But that was common, and I've not seen that for a long while. But now these roads are melting. But have a look at that road there that they're showing us. It looks like it's one of these where they spray tar onto the road, and then they just drop stones onto it and then roll it over with the steamroller. So it's not a proper road, it's just like a resurfacing rather than a remaking of the road. But either way, yeah, we have had some very impressive sights in the UK, and like I say, not all good. We've had some good news following a tragedy. 12 years ago, this young lad here, who is Oliver King, he passed away with a heart attack when he was 12 in a swimming lesson about 11 years ago, or maybe it was 11, it was 12 years ago. Either way, it would have been 23 had he survived. And his father, in the picture, has gone on and kind of spoke to the government and everyone, and gone on and on and on about it, and he's come up with, or the government have come up with, yes, you're right, we will have defibrillators in all schools in the United Kingdom, so that if something like this happens again, then at least the child has got a chance of having the heart started again, because the first few minutes are the most important in the heart attack or sudden heart stoppage, which is a great thing. It's just a tragedy that the young lad there, you know, I mean, like I say, he would have been 23 now, possibly a girlfriend, a boyfriend, whatever, kids, you know, pints at the pub with his dad, 18th birthday, 25th, all that's gone. And it could have been saved had defibrillators been available in schools at the time. But the good news is, from the tragedy, that they are, and they will be, by this time next year, all schools will have access to a defibrillator within their premises. Now, I've been going on for a while about how we rely on different countries for our energy supplies. And obviously there's not a lot we can do about petrol and gas, because we don't have huge amounts of that. The North Sea, but I mean, that's not enough really. That's on its last legs. But the other one is power, and there's no reason why we can't have more wind turbines, more solar panels. I did a bit in the paper this week, and I say, you know, why are we using fields for solar panels when those fields could be used for crops or grazing of animals? Put the solar panels on top of all buildings that can take them. Don't charge the companies who put the solar panels on for putting them on there, but the building that it is gets access to cheaper electricity. The other option I mentioned, which was a while ago now, was the fact that we should be doing more nuclear. Now, nuclear power is a lot better than it used to be. Everyone thinks of Chernobyl, the 7 Mile Island, Long Mile Island disaster and things like that. But we've come a long way since then. So, you know, little hubs of small nuclear power stations, not just in the UK. These ones will be perfect in, you know, Africa or somewhere like that, where, you know, power is very difficult to get around. Just have like a nuclear pod thing that can produce enough electricity for villages and that kind of thing. Because obviously solar power is no good at night. When it's cloudy, it's not as good, and wind power is no good when there's no wind. So we need something that is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and nuclear power fits that bill. So the government, not because of me, have said now that they will do Sizewell C. They've said it will be built, but obviously these things take time, so it won't be online probably until the end of the decade, if not slightly longer than that. But we need to looking at doing just more than one. We need to be self-sufficient. If they're going to go down the route, which I don't agree with, of electric cars, then we need to have more power that's clean to power them. Otherwise, you might as well just stick petrol in if we're burning coal to make the electricity for the things, or using diesel generators, which I've seen a couple of times on social media, where a car's run out of juice and someone's turned up with a diesel generator to charge it up. It's ridiculous. So yeah, nuclear is a way forward, but we need to make things a bit quicker, and we need to make them smaller as well, so that we can build them quicker and they're suitable for areas where they're needed, basically. Next up, it was a tragedy in Greece. It was a Ukrainian aircraft which crashed in Greece, killing all 8 people on board. It was carrying weapons and ammunition undisclosed where from and where to, but the people of Greece were told not to go anywhere near it because it could be a danger to your health because of the chemicals that are in weapons. They weren't chemical weapons as such, but they were weapons that people, or chemicals in the weapons that people should not be touching or inhaling. President Zelensky, he's been on a bit of a rant this week. He's basically been telling people that he's found in his own government people who were working for the Russians, so he sacked them. A few security officials as well. It's possibly the first sign of major paranoia as well, but it's possibly also true because, let's be honest, you know, the Russians are not averse to getting involved with stuff going on in other countries and other governments, and I'm pretty sure Ukraine will be top of their list. Good news is the fact that today there's been a deal signed in Turkey with the Turkey president, who isn't people's most popular president, let's be honest. He's kind of brokered with the UN a treaty that allows Ukraine and Russia to ship out grain and sell it to people who need it, because the war has stopped grain leaving the Soviet countries, Russia and Ukraine, and therefore is causing a lot of food shortages and whatnot in Africa and other places. So they've signed an agreement, so there's going to be a truce so that the grain can get out and get to the people that are available. The food will be available to them, and hopefully we can maybe stop famine in these countries. So fingers crossed, that is a good thing. However, when have the Russians ever done a ceasefire and kept to it? Angela, yes, he's fine. He's just not joining in conversations at the moment, but he may well be watching, and I'm sure he's pleased you're asking about him. But yeah, don't worry, he's okay. Where are we up to? So, also today, bizarrely, talking of fires, it was 10 years ago today that the Olympics started in London 2012, and it's 2020 then, and they've lit a memorial, why not, flame today outside the stadium to mark 10 years of it. I mean, you know, the Olympics for me were something that happened, didn't really affect me in any way, shape or form. Whether or not we've actually got the stuff that we were supposed to get from it that would keep us fit and healthy, I'm not so sure. Legacy, that's what I was looking for. They've lit a legacy flame. But anyway, we'll just have to wait and see. Also, now we know there's been a lot of issues with people travelling on planes, not just in the United Kingdom, but getting through airports all over the world, including America and Europe, because of shortages of staff. Well, Dover has been hit massively today, and possibly tomorrow, with people sat in the cars for 6-7 hours waiting to get to border checks, to get through, to get onto the planes or the trains or whatever, to go on holiday. And it's been an absolute nightmare for them, and a lot of people are complaining about it, and Dover's saying it's nothing to do with those, it's the French. We've asked them to supply people to do security checks, but they only supplied 6 instead of 14 and all that. And I'm like, 6 and 14, 14 is not a large amount for the number of people going through. Anyway, they reckon it may be sorted, but I'm not holding my breath. One thing I forgot to mention when I was going on about the Tory leadership was the fact that there was going to be a debate on Sky News, which was cancelled because the debate that they had on ITV ended up as a slanging match. And, well, yeah, it's going to be a slanging match, isn't it? But they're on the same side. But they're not on the same side. So they've scrapped it, but there are going to be some debates with just Rishi and Liz Truss, and we'll see how much gumph Liz has got. Dizzy Lizzie. I'm really not looking forward to her being Prime Minister. I really not. Sooner have Boris, and that's saying something. Going back to the fires, there was an amazing video which showed a farmer, I don't think it was Spain or France, and he was basically trying to build a fire break in his fields to save his crops with his JCB, and he'd done a couple of runs and all that. The video's filming him, and then all of a sudden the fire leaps across and his tractor disappears from sight, and everyone's panicking, thinking, oh my god, what's going to happen? And he actually managed to escape, albeit burnt his clothes off and he's got severe burns, but he lived. His tractor, JCB, not so much, but he's a very lucky man. And fire breaks I kind of get, but I also don't get at the same time. I know they do it a lot, but I don't know, it just doesn't seem to be something that seems to work. Now, you know me in China, I'm not a big fan. This isn't China, this is Manchester University in Manchester, unsurprisingly. They were going to sell some technology to China, and they've been blocked by the UK government from doing so. The reason being, the business secretary announced on Wednesday evening a ban on the sale of computer vision technology from Manchester University to a Chinese semiconductor company. The decision is the first to be made under the National Security and Investment (NSI) Act, which was given the government's broad powers to halt deals since January. So basically, we are starting to stop stuff going to China. In this case, it's technology, but I imagine things are going to escalate, and this is something I've been fearful for a while, because if you live in Wigan, you know that China is allegedly investing in Wigan in quite a big way in order to make some money by demolishing the town centre and building flats and apartments and a cinema no one wants, a bowling alley no one needs, and the money is coming from China, which I don't think is a good thing. One of the weirder news things which has happened over the last couple of days is this game here. This is Quidditch, which is based on the Harry Potter books by J.K. Rowling, and it's basically, it's quite a big thing now. I wouldn't say it's necessarily worldwide, but there are teams in multiple countries that are playing this game. Obviously they're not flying around on broomsticks, but they do have a stick between the legs, and they do have a snitch and all that kind of stuff. It sounds like I know what I'm talking about. I've never even seen any of the movies or read any of the books, but anyway, just go with it. And the thing is that J.K. Rowling said some things which were a bit unnecessary, shall we say, about transgender and such things, and the Quidditch people have found this very offensive, and they've decided now that they are not going to call it Quidditch anymore. It's now called quad ball. So Quidditch is dead, quad ball has replaced it. I mean, it's still a game completely made up by J.K. Rowling and no one else, so surely if you're that offended by it, stop playing it and make your own game up. Anyway, that's it for the British news, because you would not believe how much stuff I've got from America. So, the next thing is, meanwhile, in America! Right, what's going on in America? Lots. And is any of it any good? No. Now, if you remember last week, I spoke about this young lady who'd been hospitalised because she'd picked up a dollar note. Now, There's been questions about this. Experts question the claim of overdosing by touching a fentanyl-laced dollar. Experts are disputing claims that someone can experience a drug overdose by merely touching fentanyl. Now, I've no idea anything about fentanyl and all that, but she's made the news again. Like I say, not in a good way. And then the woman claiming she'd OD'd on fentanyl-laced dollars says hospital never tested her for the drug. Renee Parsons shared the revelations in a Thursday appearance on Fox and Friends, where she remained confident she overdosed on fentanyl. So, yeah, there you go. Who knew? Who knew one story would travel 2 weeks? Disney World guests escape from sinking splash-mounting longboat, and it's all caught on video. Basically, one of the rides in Disneyland has, well, sunk. It's one of... I shouldn't laugh. No one was hurt, it's fine. Guests were caught on camera escaping from a moving longboat in Disneyland's Splash Mountain attraction as it was sinking in what is the third sinking incident at the theme park in 2 years. Now, 3 sinkings in 2 years isn't that bad, but technically there shouldn't be any sinkings in any years in a kids' entertainment centre, so maybe they need to look at that and sort things out. Now, you know me, I like burgers, but I like my burgers to look moderately attractive. And I would certainly question my logic of eating this thing, because it looks drier than Gandhi's flip-flop. Praise the Lord and pass the chick-a-filla. Some of the best fried chicken in New York City, and they show a picture of that. The fast food chain has brought affordable relief from dry, overpriced chicken plaguing the city. That looks drier than anything. It's basically, you've got a bun, the chicken, a couple of gherkins, and another bun, and a little bit of sauce. That looks disgusting. I wouldn't eat that. You want some lettuce and a bit more sauce on it, don't you? A New York City pub sells a gallon of beer for the price of gas to protest Biden inflation. A New York City bar owner with a full tank of gripes is selling a gallon of beer for the price of a gallon of gas in an effort to protest the Biden administration's failure fueling historic inflation. Now, I've said this many, many times before. It's not any individual government's fault that fuel has gone up all over the world, so there's very little governments can do about the price, the wholesale price of fuel. Biden did fly to Saudi Arabia to try and get a deal, which didn't seem to come off, to get more petrol and fuel to do it. But apart from taxes, there's not a lot they can do. So protesting and all that kind of stuff makes very little sense. Would you like to see a dog that's cultured? Well, there's a dog looking at the Mona Lisa. It's not anyone's dog though, it's Demi Moore. She took her dog into the Louvre despite a strict animal ban. She smuggled it under a dress. No, I made that bit up. And she got in trouble for it. I've got no issue with dogs. In my shops I've allowed dogs in and everything. Guests speechless after mum gets engaged at her daughter's wedding. I mean, oh my god. She was proposed to during the bouquet toss. I mean, talk about, wanting to disown your mother. That's awful. Jaws made people irrationally afraid of sharks, scientists declare. Scientists in California believe that the classic 1975 film Jaws led to a generation of gelophobics, people with an irrational fear of sharks. Now, if you're in water where sharks are, then you're in their territory, so you should have a fear of them. But if you live in Texas, maybe not so much. More worried about alligators. If you live in Australia, I'd be more worried about funnel-web spiders. I think Jaws didn't do them any favours, but I don't think people have got an irrational fear of sharks. If you've seen Jaws, any of the Jaws movies, the animatronics They make the Muppets look like space technology. But, I mean, it was 1975, so you have to give them that. If they redid it and they CGI'd the shark now, then that would probably make people irrationally scared of them. And why no one's done that yet is beyond me. To be fair, you've got 2 years. We're coming up to the 50th anniversary. Get yourselves out there and get yourselves telling the studios that they need to CGI the shark to relaunch it in 50 years from its original release. Also make it into 4K as well, why not? Something that also is irrational is the fact that Lego have decided that they are releasing an office set based on the sitcom. Now, I don't get this at all, because A, it's not a kids program. I know Lego isn't just for kids, but it is primarily for kids. And B, this looks like the Australian version. Not the Australian version, sorry, the American version, which is nowhere near as good as English version, when are they ever? So it just seems a bit, run out of ideas, maybe? I don't know. Either way, I won't be buying it. An elderly woman killed by alligators. See, I told you. Be more worried about them things. After falling into a country club pond. And it's a Florida golf course. That was a fly that's just landed on my camera. An investigation has been launched over a woman killed by alligators in Florida golf course. Right. There's a golf course in Florida. There are going to be alligators. How do you fall into a pond where there's alligators in the middle of a golf course? I have no idea. If my ball landed near that, I'd be like, yep, you win the hole, and the golf ball can stay there. Let the local kids come and risk having their hands bitten off. It's not just alligators, though, that are scary, if you think about it. Bears with the munchies break into California home. A mother bear and her cubs broke into a California woman's house and munched on an entire box of donuts on her kitchen counter. They all sat down and had donuts. Oh, I wonder if they dunked them. Dunkin' Donuts? I don't know. I don't eat donuts, although I do like Dunkin' Donuts, to be fair, but it's too many carbs. Debit cards for kids, teaching them a teaching tool, or too much too soon. You've done too much, much too young. You're married with a kid when you should be having fun. No, now it's, you've done too much, much too young. You're managing your money with a credit card. A 5 or 6 year old should not be overseeing their own money, a financial advisor told the Post. Well, over here we have Go Henry, which is advertised by that skater who's a kid who won at the Olympics. The one who claims to be British but is American, flies back. I don't understand how that is a thing. How someone who isn't born in a country and hasn't been brought up in a country can actually support the country. But anyway, that's another story for another day. More Farah. But anyway, yeah, they're saying that it's bad for kids. I don't think it's terrible for kids. I think it's probably better than just giving them money that they spend willy and nilly. A Florida woman in awe after capturing a rare rainbow lightning photo. She took a photograph of a rainbow as lightning went through the rainbow, and apparently this is very rare. I must admit, I've never seen it before. It was July the 5th, and it was an insane combo, the newspaper says. Well, yes, we like insane combos. Talking of insane, remember people who don't sweat? I wonder if he sweated when it was 40 degrees. Prince Andrew, the Duke of York. He had 10,000 men and underage women as well, allegedly. BBC photographer Mark Harrison says he took embarrassing pic of Prince Andrew during awful 2019 interview. Now, I don't know how anything could be more embarrassing than that interview, but a BBC photographer claims he has an embarrassing picture of Prince Andrew that would be a big deal for the royal family if it went public. So, yeah, will you go away, Fly? You're doing my head in now. Thank you. So we get from the windows open because it's bloody cold. Oh, warm, even. But yeah, unbelievable, Jeff. Unbelievable. I mean, what is more embarrassing? California robbers steal $100 million of jewellery from an armoured vehicle. It was like something out of an action movie. And it was in Southern California. So if you're in Southern California, someone offers you some knockoff jewellery in a bar or something, I'd probably say no. Now, one of my favourite women of 2022 is this woman. She's the one who held up the banner saying on Russian news, a live broadcast, that the war was fake, Russia was to blame and all that kind of stuff, and then she disappeared. Thankfully, she's reappeared again to tell people that she was detained briefly for God knows what in Russia. But let's be honest, you do something like that in Russia, it could have been a lot worse. I'm just pleased she's still walking and talking. Back to America. Florida amusement park pauses new sniper-like laser game amid mass shooting uptick. The Orlando amusement park, where a teenager fell from a ride and died earlier this year, what's that got to do with anything, has paused a new sniper-like laser shooting game. Now, I'm pretty sure that people who play shooting games of any kind, be it Call of Duty, Battlefield, or, you know, like the old, when I was a kid, you had the ones where you shot and the little targets, and there was like a it was like a redneck sat on a toilet and the door would open and go, oh yeehaw, and all that kind of stuff. It's not made me into a mass gunman. So I think they're slightly overreacting. Again, it might be woke, I don't know, but it just seems a little bit too much. Having said that, Texas panel reports reveals chilling way the school shooter Salvador Ramos easily amassed weapons on his 18th birthday. A probe into the massacre revealed excruciating detail of how easy and quickly the killer amasses ammo and weapons. As soon as you turn 18, you can just go in somewhere and buy guns. But not just one, a shed load of them. And then people wonder why, people in America wonder why the rest of the world look at America and wonder what is going on. But more of that very soon. Back to Russia first. Russian embassy threatens Swiss newspaper after publishing Putin clown meme. If we are speaking about clownery, it would be much more appropriate to touch on this topic in the context of the recent past of the former Ukrainian comedian Vladimir Zelensky, the Russian embassy said. So the Russian embassy's got a sense of humour, even though they're mass murderers. Hashtag just saying. Talking of insanity, now, after the school shooting, I mentioned an American politician, Ted Cruz. Now, this guy is off his head. Supreme Court gay marriage decision was clearly wrong, says Ted Cruz. I mean, he's such a level-headed, reasonable gentleman, isn't he? Cruz said the decision to legalise gay marriage was overreaching and was clearly wrong when it was decided, because he is such a staunch supporter of people's rights, isn't he? Well, any rights that involve people carrying guns. American politicians, well, to be fair, the Americans vote for them, so surely they deserve them. Now, here's something that I didn't get. Why would you, A, do this, and B, why would you then go to the press and say, look what we've done? I bought my husband a sex doll that looks just like me. Now we have threesomes. Right, a few things here. One, doesn't look like her. Two, it doesn't look like her. Three, if you're having threesomes, why would you want a threesome with a latex you involved? I mean, I get horrified enough to see myself in the mirror when just in the bathroom, not, you know, in full glory, whilst in the passions of stimulants, and then seeing another me like dead. I mean, it's like, what the hell is going on? Apparently, her husband's got a high libido, so she's bought a lookalike sex doll in order to take the pressure off when she's not in the mood. But now she's developed a love for it herself. I mean, you know, the nearest thing most people do is, happy time. But anyway, a Connecticut man pulls gun on woman who didn't thank him for holding door, cops say. Now, we've had a few shootings and a few whatnots for pathetic reasons, but a New Haven man allegedly took out a gun, after two women didn't thank him for holding the door open for them at a Family Dollar store. I've no idea what a Family Dollar store is. It's probably like Poundland. But, yeah, and then, again, I'll say to people in America, stories like this come up. I mean, forget your mass shootings and all that kind of stuff. Stories like this come up, and the rest of the world's looking at America going, why? What is wrong with you people? Why do you have guns? And why do you know, if I'd opened a door for some woman and she hadn't said thank you to me, which does happen, I wouldn't be like, you know, I mean, I don't have a gun because I'm English, but I wouldn't go around and punch her in the face or threaten her or call her a cow or anything daft like that. So why the hell would I think you should be arrested for that. Another congressman who deserves not to be a congressman anymore. He's dared Biden to take away his guns. Republican Ronnie Jackson challenged President Biden to come and get his assault rifles just hours after the state release of an extensive report on the shooting in the school. Now, I've not really reported on the shooting in the school because, this is more of a light-hearted look at news, and that was anything but light-hearted. That's like one of the biggest tragedies of the year so far. I'm not demeaning it, but I'm not gonna push it. But the stuff that we've learnt recently, and then for him to come out and say something like that, again, what is wrong with American politicians? It's, this is why the world frowns on America. I'm sorry, but it is. Sesame Street are in trouble because their character, no idea which one it is. I thought it was Cookie Monster or whatever, but it's not. I think it's just a generic puppet that walks around the Sesame Street area of a theme park. Ignored a couple of black children during a parade, which has sparked a huge amount of rows and everything, and it's all blown up. Now, I'm not saying that ignoring kids, regardless of anything, when you're dressed as a cartoon character, is a good thing at all, but it does happen. I mean, I've been with or seen children that get ignored by a mascot or something because they're doing a lot of other stuff at the same time. Now, these kids had been ignored under different circumstances. Would it have still made the news? Or would Kelly Rowland have been involved? I don't know. Again, are we going too far in certain ways and just blaming something that might not be the reason for whatever it was? Or are we just doing it for the sake of doing it? Are we just whinging for the sake of whinging about stuff because we can? Now, we said about Europe and England and Scotland and Wales getting record temperatures and fires and all that kind of stuff. Well, America, it's not been much better. This is Texas. Heat index is somewhere between oh my god and WTF. 35 million under heat alerts as dangerous temps scorch the central US. Dangerous heat will continue to impact much of the central southwestern United States, with nearly 35 million Americans under heat alert. Again, it's a worldwide thing, but it's not just the heat, as we will come to very shortly. Now, this is, again, how people get their priorities is beyond me. But a big wall of waves crash into a wedding. The cake luckily made it. The bride and groom, no, they got washed away and died. No, they didn't. But it's to say that the cake luckily made it. No, The people, I want to know about the people. Did they make it? I don't give a monkey's left dangly bit about the public. But anyway, there you go. What can you do? It's... oh. Anyway, the cake made it. Well, it probably didn't make it for long. They probably chopped it up and ate it afterwards. We're still not even halfway yet. Now, we've all seen dogs, sometimes cats on skateboards, and dogs surfing and stuff like that. Well, how's about a chicken? A chicken surfed floodwaters down a West Virginia street. So in Texas, they've got silly temperatures. In West Virginia, they've got flooding. And there's a chicken crossing the road on a surfboard. Yeah, a bit of light relief, I suppose. McDonald's employee given a huge tip after having a drink thrown at her. After claiming to see a bad customer's behaviour, the couple said they'd give the employee $50. Now, it's a tip. Apparently in America you have to tip everyone, regardless. But it says, huge tip. Now, $50 is a large tip, but I wouldn't say it was a huge tip. If it had been $500 or $5,000, yeah. And again, is someone getting $50? Newsworthy. Now, if you want jewellery and you can't be arsed going and smashing up and getting into an armoured vehicle, well, why don't you just go into a jewellery shop and use a brick? Well, because you can't. A man uses brick to try and bust into jewellery case, and he epically fails. Wisconsin criminal failed at a broad daylight smash and grab at K Jewelers when he repeatedly tried to use a brick to break into the jewellery case and said that he got chased off out of the store. I should have had a gun. No, I'm joking. No, I'm not. No, well, I don't know. Florida cop dives into dark water to rescue dog from drowning. Now, a Florida cop saved the life of a little pup who lost its way. Now, I don't know what dark water is. Is it something to do with Stranger Things? In which case, that's very brave. Or is it just deep water? But anyway, I just brought that up because I have no idea what dark water is, and hopefully someone can explain it to me at some point. Talking about extreme temperatures, New York, Boston, Washington, Munich, everybody's talking about pop music. Oh no, sorry. Bracing for a sizzling summer scorcher. It's going to be extraordinarily hot, or it has been extraordinarily hot in America. So like I said before, the weather is all over the place at the moment. How's about a baby face? There we go. A Good Samaritan who killed Indianapolis mall shooter identified as 22-year-old Elijah Dickin even. Now, I'm not sure if that's the hero, or if that's one of the victims, or if that's the shooter. Either way, story is Elijah was in a mall. A gunman shot 3 people dead. Within 15 seconds, Elijah had got his gun out and shot him. Now, the bad news is, this is going to say to people like Cruz and that other nutter that this is what we mean about people should have guns, because they can defend everyone else. And this guy's become a hero because he's killed someone. But if they didn't have guns, then 3 people would still be alive, as would the gunman. The logic is baffling. Really baffling. I'm going to get a lot of hate from America, but, you know, what the hell. I'm selling, not me, sexy photo to fund my dying dad's medical care. He raised me right. When I told him, he laughed and thought it was hilarious. Growing up, he would always joke around saying he wanted us to work at a Hooters because of women empowerment. So a father of this young lady is dying, which is a tragedy, and she's decided to pay for his medical care to extend his life. She's going to take sexy shots of herself and sell them online. It's a way of making money, I suppose. It's a bit like me getting an OnlyFans account, isn't it? Yeah, I'd make all of about $3 if I did that. There's been an explosion at the Hoover Dam. It was caught on video. It looks more spectacular in the picture than it did on the video. And it was a transformer that exploded. Initially, people thought it might be terrorist attack or whatever, but it was just a transformer that had just gone pop. China warned Pelosi a Taiwan trip would have severe negative impact on relations. The Chinese government, everyone's favourite, apart from Russia obviously, gave Nancy Pelosi a stern warning over reports that she's possibly going to visit Taiwan. Now, Taiwan and China is something that has been bubbling underneath for quite a while now, and it is worrying that we could get to the stage where we could be at war with China as well as Russia. But anyway, we're away off that. I slept with my beloved pit bull until he tried to eat me alive. A woman who slept with a dog was almost eaten alive when the canine snapped and tore off most of her arm, ate her bicep and sunk its teeth into her leg and foot. For a start, why would you sleep with a dog like that? And secondly, feed it. Cats only eat their owners when their owners have passed away and they've not been fed for a few days. Going back to floods, New York and New Jersey, floodings. Cars were submerged in floodwater in northern New Jersey and New York. Subway stations were turned into impromptu waterfalls after heavy rain. That was on Monday. We're only on Monday. How much American stuff can we possibly get through? Is the chat thing still working, by the way? Because it's not... no one said anything for a minute. Okay. Yeah, it's still going. That's alright. Just checking. Where are we up to? Oh, hang on, I pressed the wrong button. Right, so we've done flooding. Right, this is a bizarre shot as well. This is almost reminds me of the woman who had the doll made for her husband. I'm terrified my saggy boobs will suffocate me in my sleep. Now, one asks the question, does she sleep like a bat upside down? She's just 4'9" with size H boobs that are so heavy that a partner has to pick them up and physically move them to keep them from strangling her in her sleep. Or wear a vest or a bra or something. I don't think you're gonna. I mean, it's not a problem. I wouldn't say I'm not. But it's not a problem I've ever encountered. I'll be honest. A Georgia bank robbery suspect dressed as granny to thwart cops. Police in Georgia are searching for a bank robbery suspect who tried to thwart authorities by dressing up. They're searching for him. He thwarted you. You have not got them. Ergo, he won. Dressing up as a granny works. Elon Musk's dad, 76, ready to donate sperm to high-class women. And why not? A new generation of Elon Musks may soon be on the horizon. Now, his dad, who's 76, obviously can still produce at that age, because a lot of celebrities have babies at that age, so we know that. The quality isn't as good, I would imagine, and I can't imagine the quantity is as much either. However, it's only half of what made Elon Musk. The other half would be his mum. So that kind of falls down there, doesn't it? Plus, who wants more insane mad people in the world? We've got enough of them as it is. Bone collector opens a museum with 100 human skulls, skeletons and a spine wall. Amid the night spots and street halls of Bushwick, there is now also a shop displaying what it owner claims to be one of the largest collection of human bones in the US. Why not? I mean, who would want to go and look at human bones? America have also covered the Quidditch thing as well, which I mentioned earlier, so we'll skip over that. Mum claims a traumatised daughter found cigarette in Burger King fries. This brings new meaning to the joke. Guess what? Chicken butt. I don't know what that is, but it's anything. It's anything but funny to outranged mummy Jenny Hollyfield. Alright, cigarette butt in fries. Unless it's done deliberately, I cannot see how that could possibly happen. So I call out fraud on that one. Allegedly. Here we go. I saw feet in the toilet and realised I'd given birth to a surprise baby. The 22-year-old said she had just hit the toilet with pains of pushing out a poo when she heard a crash, looked down, and there were 2 feet sticking out the toilet. Now, what the hell? I'm not a woman, obviously. I never have been either, just to clarify. But I feel that the area that a baby comes from is in a different place from the area where a poo comes from. Ergo, you would know something was wrong. I've heard of people having babies that they weren't expecting, but usually at the point of having a baby, they realise that they're having a baby. They don't look in the toilet and see 2 legs sticking out of the U-bend. Again, I call this one out. I mean, no, BS, absolute BS. I'm afraid. And that's speaking as a man. Imagine if I was a woman, I'd be more. Talking of handsome men, which we weren't. Texas professor under fire after proposing a cure for homosexuality, and he's not African, because in Africa they have witch doctors who will beat you with raw chickens and sacrifice things and beat you with leaves and make you inhale smoke and stuff to cure yourself from homosexuality. Professor Timothy Farage, I wonder if he's related to Nigel Farage. There's a similarity. I mean, I don't wish to cast aspersions on anyone, but he doesn't look. He doesn't look like a ruler, if you get my drift, in that photograph. He does come across a bit. Anyway, at University of Texas at Dallas, he made a tweet which made misleading claims about an alleged link to homosexuality and monkeypox. So, it's like... Now, there is a case of the majority of people who have got monkeypox are homosexual or bisexual, but that's possibly because relationships in that area are not always as solid as relationships in other areas. But you can still catch it if you're straight, or even if you just hug someone and you get one of their monkeypox poxes and rub it on your skin. You can catch it that way as well. So I mean, I call BS on that guy, and I think at some point he'll be very happily married to a gentleman in I don't know, probably California or something. Vladimir Putin was left fidgeting and looking very miserable because the Turkish president was nearly a minute late for a planned photo op with Putin. Putin just stood there in front of the camera. Now you would think they'd walk on together, wouldn't you? Or they'd have it where they both walk on, you know, like if they don't walk on together, you know, hand in hand, not necessarily, but they'd walk on, you know, opposite sides at the same time and everything. But no, he just left him stood there for a while, which is not good for Putin because, you know, if he is ill, he probably needs to sit down after about 2 minutes. So, anyway, all's well that ends well. Experimental aircraft crashes in Washington. 2 occupants and a dog taken to hospital. Now, the experimental aircraft crash landed on a road in Washington early Wednesday, injuring 2 occupants on board with their dog, the authorities said. Now, what it doesn't say is what's experimental about this. Now, we've all seen videos of dogs driving cars, and there was a TV show in the UK, which is probably broadcast worldwide at some point as well, where they taught a dog to fly a plane. Maybe this was a plane that a dog had made, because you look at it, it looks like it's made out of paper, and the dog was flying the plane, but they hadn't taught it how to land. So maybe that's the only thing I can think of for experimental. Either way, it's it's a bit bonkers. Then we've got Portland camp imagines life without cops and features a BLM colouring book. A summer camp in Portland, Oregon is offering a free social justice session for young minds that once featured Black Lives Matter themed material and called out for the abolishment of the police. What could possibly go wrong brainwashing kids? Eh? What could possibly go wrong? Seriously, what could go wrong? Joe Biden says he has cancer in a possible gaffe. Now remember, I spoke about Joe Biden earlier on. This is before he'd been declared he had COVID. President Biden said that he has cancer, making either a gaffe or a stunning casual health announcement during a speech about global warming in Massachusetts. What he's probably saying is that global warming is a cancer on the world, which would make sense. Now this is a very pretty creature, but sadly is not appreciated for obvious reasons. Invasive pest ready to swarm and eat its way across America. It's a moth. The spotted lanternfly is not only persuasive and invasive, but deadly to plants. The plant-hopping bug pierces the plants with their mouth and sucks sugary sap out of the stems, according to the Pennsylvania whatever. So it's not a plague of locusts, it's going to be a plague of, what's it called? Lanternflies. But they are very pretty. They're prettier than locusts. I know that doesn't really count for anything if they're eating all your food. Nearly there, nearly there. Ukraine invites armed talks to test weapons against Russia. This is genius. Ukrainian Defence Minister pitched Western arms dealers on Tuesday, asking them to let his troops try out their products against Russians. So rather than going to firing ranges and shooting cardboard cutouts of tanks and whatever, why not give us your brand new weapons and then we can see if they work against real tanks and things. That is beyond genius. That guy deserves a medal for coming up with that idea. That is fantastic. It's one of my favourite news items of the week. It's just really, really good. This is one of my bizarrest items of the week. Only two more after this. A Georgia school is under fire for the new logo, resembling the Nazi symbol. No idea where they get that similarity from. A Georgia elementary school is under fire for its new logo that some parents insist resembles the Nazi symbol, prompting district officials to halt its rollout. I don't see it myself, apart from the eagle and the swastika in the middle of the eagle with the wings up and it looking right. Apart from that, I do not see any similarities whatsoever to the Nazi logo. Unbelievable. A robot dog. I mean, it's bad enough that 18-year-olds can just go and buy as many weapons as they want in America, but now they've got a robot dog equipped with a submachine gun, and they're now saying it's dystopian nightmare fodder. A video of a robotic dog equipped with a submachine gun is circulating social media. It's not a new video, but it's kind of doing the rounds again, and it's from Russia. Of course it is. From Russia with a bullet with your name on it. And last up, Melania Trump claims she was unaware of the Capitol riots. What if it has a meltdown for not getting a bone? Yeah, exactly. That's what happens if it doesn't get a bone. Talk about perfect timing. Melania Trump claims she was unaware of Capitol riots. Putin has found you. Oh, we're all right. And she also rips into Grisham as well. The former First Lady's interview was a response to accusations made against her by former chiefs of stance concerning six. There's a funeral at the club. All right, okay then. So yeah, so letting fireworks off. That's okay. I must admit, I did panic for a second, and that was perfect timing when we've just been talking about the robot dog. Where's it gone? There it is. The robot dog with a machine gun on its back, and then Angela saying, "What if it has a meltdown for not getting a bone?" And then that happens. I mean, you couldn't have timed that any better if you tried. Anyway, that is it. Talk about going out with a bang, indeed. What picture shall I use as my final picture? I think we'll use the horrendous events in London with the houses catching fire, because it's just shocking. Anyway, that is it. We are going out in a blaze of glory. Thank you very much for watching, if indeed you still are, and for listening as well, if indeed you still are. Don't forget to subscribe either to the YouTube channel or to the RSS podcast channel, and there you can find a link to the YouTube channel where you can watch these things live, and you can join in the chat room as well. So thank you, podcasters. Thank you, YouTubers. And yeah, try and keep it light-hearted, although some of the news is quite serious, so we can't make that light-hearted. But yeah, big shout out to Sean, Angela, and Smiley and Gatorman, who I didn't notice actually. Gatorman snuck in, so I didn't ignore you, Gatorman. I just didn't see you. So anyway, thanks for watching. Like I said, if indeed you still are, and I will see you all again next week for what a week that was, or to see what a week that was. Until then, they're on holiday next door, so I can go as loud as I want. Bye!